Hello everyone and welcome to the Mercer County Football Show here on WBCB1490.com alongside the Trentonians George O'Gorman. I'm Mike Samso. The Mercer County Football Show is presented by St. Francis Medical Center, the Heart Hospital in the city of Trenton, and also Haldeman Ford-Subaru, Route 33 in Hamilton Township. George, Week 3 is always an interesting week of the season because Week 1 you may have some upsets, a team sneaks up on you. Week 2, maybe some of the teams you expected to be better bounce back. But once Week 3 rolls around, a lot of times you start to see teams take their shape into form. And that's what we've seen in a couple games last week.
Yeah, there were a couple of games last week that were very interesting games. One of them, although a lot of people probably weren't concerned about it, I thought it would be an interesting game, was the Trenton at West Windsor North game,
right.
which I happened to cover that game, and it was an interesting game, and the Tornadoes finally got their first win this season, and also the first win for Coach Joe Misnick, who came back as the interim coach for the Tornadoes after Raphael Mack was relinquished or the position was taken away from him on an interim basis. And
right.
Joe Misnick, he had been the coach over at Trenton back in, I think it was 09, 08, and they went winless, and they were unlucky that year, but they were able to pull out a nice win with a great performance by Ryan Wharton, ran for 250-plus yards. And now they go into Steinert Saturday morning. So, interesting, two teams, Trenton coming off a win, Steinert coming off I guess you could call it a resounding loss to the Nottingham North Stars.
Yeah.
Who have now gone, 12 quarters without allowing a point. 12 quarters without allowing a point. I got to go back to the record books, probably way back, to try to find anybody that had 3 consecutive shutouts. I don't remember that. I think it may be an early Notre Dame team back in the 80s may have had a lot of shutouts. I don't know if they had any in a row.
Right.
But, it was some interesting games. One that I was a little bit surprised about, only because of the tradition of Hamilton football. Mm-hmm. The Hornets off to an 0-3 start, and they really got trounced by Allentown Redbirds.
Yeah, that they
who
did.
Every week just keep adding to their resume. I mean, that was. I'm not surprised that Allentown won. I'm surprised at the way they won it, jumping out to a big lead like they did. As we've mentioned several times, Jay Graber's done an outstanding job building that program, and this year it's really reaching its top. You thought that they were going to be. We knew that they were very good a couple of years ago,
right?
When they had Ross Schurman, and then he graduates, and they still come back last year and get to the playoffs, and they got a shot to be the top seed.
Yeah, they definitely do. That's a very good Allentown team that Jake Graber has. Some of the other games that we had in Mercer County, one of the, I don't know exactly how to classify this, a 20-0 win for Hightstown over Hopewell Valley. Is that maybe just a Hopewell Valley team struggling a little bit with a talented team?
It was homecoming at Hopewell Valley. Again, fortunately, I think this was the last time that they're going to play under portable lights.
Right.
Because the lighting was atrocious. Mm-hmm. And really, you couldn't even see the other side of the field. You couldn't even see from one sideline to midfield, trying to determine the numbers of the guys that were running the ball.
Right.
But that's not a surprising result because Hightstown's a pretty good ball club.
Right.
They can play some defense, and they can if Dustin Coleman can throw the ball and get some protection, they can do some things. And they were able to, it was a very tight game early, and then they got a couple of touchdowns late in the game. But Hightstown's a good ball club, and if things break well for Hightstown Friday night, they could give Notre Dame a little bit of a tussle.
Yeah, that's going to be a good game. 2 games we'll have for you on the WBCB Sports Network this weekend. They'll both be over on the FM on 107.7. Notre Dame will be taking on Hightstown. Coverage of that will start at 6:45. George and I will be out there. And also on Saturday, we'll be covering Trenton at Steinert for you. 10:45 begins our coverage on that game. Another game that happened last week. A close game and a close result than I think some people were expecting, although I went with the upset. Wasn't quite right on this one, but Holy Cross 19-14 over Ewing. That was an interesting game in Mercer County last week. Yeah.
Interesting in the fact that Ewing was in that game until late.
Right.
Holy Cross, has always been a very respected program down in South Jersey in the Burlington County League. Now it's the West Jersey Football League, but Holy Cross for a long time has been one of the real class programs in Burlington County, and they've been struggling this year. They may be a little bit down, but that was a very good game, and Drew Bessler's Ewing Blue Devils really able to put some points up and playing good defense.
Yeah, that they are.
Which kind of leads us into the game that they have coming up on Saturday, Ewing at Lawrence.
Yeah, that should be a good one.
Ewing at Lawrence should be a very good game. Now, those are two of the teams, because they're in the one of the lower, not to say lower division, one of the divisions in the West Jersey Football League that doesn't include a lot of Mercer County teams. Lawrence and Ewing in that division, they haven't played a Mercer County team yet.
Yeah.
I think it'll be Lawrence's first game against a Mercer County team and Ewing's first game against a Mercer County team.
Wow.
And that should be an interesting game on Saturday at 11 o'clock. But that's right now probably could be a toss-up type of game.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have our previews coming up in just a little bit as well. Florence over Palmyra, 42-8. The Flashes just keep on rolling. Cinnaminson over Robbinsville, 27-8. Burlington Township over Lawrence, 29-14. And Georgia, a game that I believe you saw, Trenton getting their first win of the year, as we talked about, 14-7 over West Windsor Plainsboro North. The South Pirates, 33, Princeton nothing. So
without Brian Schoenhauer.
Without Brian Schoenhauer, yeah. So the Pirates just a little bit too much for Princeton in that game. Nottingham coming out, as we talked about, making another statement, 27-0 over Steiner.
Yeah, and it's not surprising that the John Adams North Stars put up some points because they've been doing that. They've been pretty much averaging around 20 points a game. I think the lowest total they had was their opening game of the year when they beat Hightstown 13-0, but they've been scoring some points. And again, you can't talk enough about the defense that the North Stars have been putting up. We talk about their linebackers, a lot, but some of those other guys they got up front, Zach Mesday, he's been doing an excellent job at defensive end. I don't understand how this kid did not play that much in Bordentown.
Yeah,
he's a transfer from Bordentown, and he's come into Nottingham, and he's really been like the last piece of the puzzle that's really helped Frank Gatto's North Stars defense. And
a couple of those
Zach
transfers.
Mesday,
He and Malagrino as well.
Well, we know what Malagrino's done because we had seen him play, and he played fairly regularly over at Steiner last year when they went to the playoffs. But Mesday, I'm really impressed with.
Yeah, very much so. Allentown.
And they've been doing it without Rawway Williams.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best backs in Mercer County.
Alex Santiago getting big time
and he's been
carries in the backfield.
Been injured, but I'll tell you what, John Adams has a lot of weapons there. And I could possibly see them extending their shutout streak this week against West Windsor Plainsboro North. But I don't know how many. They got some big games coming up. We were talking about another game coming up, which they've added to the WBCB network for later in October when Allentown plays Nottingham. That should be a heck of a game, especially the way both teams are playing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be an interesting week because that Saturday we'll have the Allentown-Nottingham game, and then Allentown will be heading into Monsignor Walter Nolan Field to take on Notre Dame, which most people, along with West Windsor, Plainsboro South, those are probably your top four teams in our area.
We're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves right now because we still got to go through finish September. But,
that's a good point.
Yeah, but when you see games like that building up and the momentum, we're going into week 4 now.
Right.
We're almost at the midway point in the season. And, you get excited about the prospect of games coming up later on in the year, and that'll be a really huge playoff, caliber type of game because of the fact that, in that game, if things continue the way they're going, you got Allentown and Nottingham, and that game's at Nottingham, I believe, isn't it?
Yes.
That could possibly, talk about a home playoff game for one of those two teams. Both of them, at the rate they're going, should make the playoffs, but maybe a top seed.
Yeah, very much so. Allentown, as we were talking about, 38-8 over Hamilton, and Tom Hoagland's team just struggling to find their footing.
Well, when you stop and think about it, Hamilton had that really bad second quarter when they played Hopewell in the opening game of the season, gave up, I think, 20 points. Tried to come back, but it was just too much of a hole to dig themselves out of. Then they played Notre Dame the next week, and we're in that game. We talked about the interception return that was negated, and that could have possibly put the Hornets up in that game. They went on to lose to the Irish, and then last week they really got trashed by a very good Allentown team that keeps getting better and better. I'm not surprised that the Hornets are winless because of who they played. The schedule has not worked out well for Tom Hoagland's Hornets, but. They probably, I think they're playing Princeton this week.
Let's see, Hamilton, yes, at Princeton.
They probably should get or they could get a win. I don't want to say should, because Zach Gregorio does an excellent job throwing the ball for the Little Tigers. But that's another toss-up game. But I think Hamilton's had some good games against Princeton in the past, and I think this one could be another one.
Last season, Hamilton started out 4-0, and then they had a 4-0 matchup with West Windsor Plainsboro South. Lost that game 48-6, and have been 1-7 in their games since then. Their only one was that overtime win against Trenton that you and I did last year in the snow.
Well, the Halloween snowstorm.
Right. Notre Dame 23, Rancocas Valley 14, and the interesting thing about this game, and we're starting to notice a trend developing a little bit with this Notre Dame team. They're finding themselves in games late in the fourth quarter, but Prince Patterson, big interceptions are helping the Irish pull away at the end.
Well, that's what you need when you got so many young kids starting, like Chappie Moore has for the Irish. You need some of your veterans to step up, and Prince Patterson has certainly been doing that. And Zach Thorpe is another guy in the trenches, both offensively and defensively, who's been really doing an excellent job. Rob Bakoven. Every game that this kid gets under his belt is going to make him only better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Remember, he came in with no varsity experience, really, as a starter.
RV had 8 turnovers in that game.
That's, a lot of times RV shoots themselves in the foot. You talk about that old cliche about shooting yourself in the foot, but RV, it amazes me, really, how much Rancocas Valley has struggled, and that's a very tradition-rich program in Burlington County.
Right.
And, the first year that the WJFL came around, and, 2 teams that really benefited from that change were RV and Ewing. That program had been down. They came in, they played pretty good, got to the playoffs. I think they went 8-2 that year or something like that. And last year they went the reverse, kind of like Ewing did.
Yeah.
But that was an interesting game for Notre Dame, because last year, I don't remember if you did the game with us, Mike, but I remember
the Hail Mary game.
With the Hail Mary game, where the Irish thought they had won the game. They ran off the field. The referees brought them back on for added a couple seconds, and then they let a receiver run down the sidelines and forgot to cover him, and he caught a touchdown pass to end the game.
Well, the interesting part about this game was it started to kind of take that type of shape. Notre Dame hit a field goal with about 3 minutes to play that put them up 17-14, much as Mike Young did the year before with under a minute to play when he hit the 39-yard field goal. And I actually talked to Chappie about that after the game, and he said, don't think that didn't cross into my mind that this game was playing out very similarly to the one last year.
Well, that was a good win for the Irish to get to 2-0, and now they got another big test. Hightstown's playing well, so that's going to be a very good game. We got to see how their pass defense with Prince Patterson back there and a couple of the other guys that they've got. They've always had a very good secondary, although they graduated a couple of really outstanding defensive backs last year, like Ryan Germano, Darius Norman. But this is a good Irish team getting better.
Yeah,
and that's what you always like to see when Chappie Moore's club, because they gradually get better and better and better as they gain confidence and things start working well for them. Nico Sfera is doing an excellent job running the ball.
As is Lorenzo Bryant.
Lorenzo Bryant. We saw him earlier in the year against Hamilton.
Yeah.
Get a couple of big touchdown runs, and that's one of the things that Chappie likes to see, although he probably would be happier if they could get a lead early and build on that lead rather than have to struggle at the end.
This is the Mercer County Football Show on WBCB1490.com, presented by St. Francis Medical Center, the Heart Hospital in the city of Trenton, and also Haldeman Ford-Subaru, Route 33 in Hamilton Township. George and I will be back right after this to take a look at the games coming up this week in Mercer County.
I'm Jerry Jablonowski, President and Chief Executive Officer of St. Francis Medical Center. For over 137 years, St. Francis has remained committed to the people of Trenton, living out our mission to be a transforming, healing presence in the communities we serve by delivering top-quality health care to all in a personal and compassionate manner. We have continually expanded our services to meet the changing healthcare needs of our city. Despite the hospital changes taking place in Trenton, St. Francis will continue to be here, providing all the residents of Trenton with access to top-quality health care, both at our hospital and within your communities where you live and work. Our renowned services in cardiac care, cancer treatment, and stroke care, in addition to our newly designed comprehensive care of chronic diseases, will continue to provide Trenton with the best in healthcare services. Our emergency room is always open for your immediate needs in times of medical crisis. St. Francis Medical Center will be here so you'll be well.
The Trentonian presents Philadelphia Eagles Football Frenzy. You could win the grand prize to see the Eagles play Dallas in Dallas on December 2nd. Get your copy of the Daily Trentonian to register. Enter between now and September 30th for your chance to win. Every Sunday, the Trentonian is giving out a $100 gift card, a 2-night hotel package for two with your choice of a regular season Eagles game, and on October 7th, the grand prize will be announced, a flyaway package to Dallas to see the Eagles take on the Cowboys December 2nd with 2-night hotel accommodations. For entry rules, check the Daily Trentonian and enter as often as you like in the Trentonian or online at Trentonian.com. It's the Philadelphia football frenzy from the Trentonian, the only local paper serving both Bucks and Mercer counties.
Back here on the Mercer County Football Show on WBCB1490.com, presented by St. Francis Medical Center, the Heart Hospital in the city of Trenton, and also by Haldeman Ford-Subaru, Route 33, Hamilton Township. That's the Trentonians' George O'Gorman. I'm Mike Samsel. Don't forget, a couple games coming up for you in Jersey on the WBCB Sports Network this week. Friday night, Hightstown and Notre Dame, and Saturday, Trenton and Steiner. They will both be on 107.7 The Bronx and 107.7thebronx.com. Don't forget, for more updates, you can check out our Twitter feed at WBCB Sports, or George's is simple, at George O'Gorman. Mine's simple, at Mike Samsel. And should be a pretty interesting week coming up in Mercer County, starting out with the Friday night games. I think Hopewell Valley is going to struggle as they head into an Allentown team that is just a buzzsaw right now.
Yeah, there's no question about that. I would think that the key for Hopewell Valley to stay close is to keep the Redbirds' offense off the field. But that's,
right.
It's easier said than done. But I just see Allentown continuing to roll and putting up points. This team is solid on both sides of the ball. Frank Jube has done an excellent job for Jay Graber's ball club. Ryan Palladino can throw the ball, and you got Norman Williams running the ball. It's a very solid package, and Allentown just keeps building momentum, and I just think that it's going to be difficult for Hopewell to keep it close.
Yeah, I kind of see the same thing. I'm pretty sure Jay Graber's team is going to handle Hopewell Valley. Another interesting one on Friday night. Northern Burlington travels into West Windsor Plainsboro South. Brian Schoenhauer, we'll see. Hamstring issues tend to linger. They may give him another week to rest.
Well, they may give him another week to rest. They may just put him in early and see what he can do if he can get him a lead. If you just go on comparative scores, Todd Smith's Pirates should win that rather convincingly. Opening game of the year, Northern Burlington went into Princeton and got beat for the second year in a row by the Little Tigers. That's the only win the Little Tigers have right now. Last week, West Windsor South went into Princeton and beat the Little Tigers. I think shut them out.
33-0.
So if you just go on comparative scores, West Windsor South should win this game rather handily. And Todd Smith's club, despite being relatively young, has really been getting better.
Yeah, that they have.
Excellent offensive line. And, you can't take a kid like Brian Schoenhauer out of the offense and not have it hurt you. But
Andrew Murray's been very admirable.
Andrew Murray's been doing an excellent job, and the quarterback, Malik Fuller, is it? He keeps getting better. And this is a ball club that, Todd Smith, year in and year out, does one of the best coaching jobs in central New Jersey, if not the state.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I see the Pirates winning rather convincingly. It'll be their, it'll be their third home game.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, their third home game. They lost at home 2 weeks ago to Steiner, but I think that they can go to 3-1 and get their second win of the year at home.
Right. Florence heads to the road. They take on Robbinsville, and that's another one where the Flashes they'll be facing a tough Robbinsville team, but just on comparative scores and things of that nature, the Flashes look for them to continue rolling.
Yeah, I just think that Robbinsville, Jordan Gray's team, they just think that they're overmatched against the Florence team. I saw them a couple of years ago. The last time I think Florence went into Robbinsville, and the game was relatively close, but I think that the Ravens had a little bit more on both sides of the ball. They don't have a lot of kids either.
Right.
When you stop and think about it, which is surprising because that's a growing program, and they're struggling somewhat this year. I think they've only got about 30 kids on the team.
Right.
And Joe Frapoli's, what can you say about Joe Frapoli and the Flashes? Just year in and year out, they're always there. And I know people that said after Florence had defeated Lawrence a couple of weeks ago, where they came from behind late, that they saw the flashes running the table. Well,
Yeah.
that's a little bit premature, but especially because some of the teams in Burlington County are always geared up to play Florence.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think that Florence has just too many weapons, and Joe Frapoli, being the class guy that he is, he's not going to try to pour it on
Right.
Robbinsville, but I just can't see Robbinsville staying within 2 touchdowns, really, of the flashes.
Game of the week, at least as far as the Friday night slate goes. If you like the ball in the air, this will be the game for you. Hightstown and Notre Dame.
That's another thing. We thought last week there was going to be a high-scoring offensive shootout last week when Hightstown went in to play Hopewell Valley.
Yeah.
It turned out to be a excellent defensive game.
Mm-hmm.
The Rams getting an early touchdown on a fumble block. No, it was a high snap over the punter's head. The ball was kicked around, went into the end zone, and Russo, I think it was Devin Russo, recovered in the end zone, and that was the only points until the third quarter, or midway in the third quarter.
Right.
And Pete Bresch's Rams were able to hold on, and that's a defense that gets better. Pete Brescia is going to have a lot. This is a big game for Pete Brescia. He's a graduate of Notre Dame. He was a former Irish quarterback under Chappie Moore. He was offensive coordinator for the Irish for a couple of years before moving on to Steiner, and then from Steiner got the head coaching job over at Hightstown. He'd love nothing more than to knock off his alma mater. They can do it if they can get protection, and if Dustin Coleman can get time to throw the ball.
Yeah.
Because he's got receivers that he can throw to, whether it be Max Cutler or Kevin Lennart. Tyler Close is an excellent receiver.
Right.
I think it's Ryan Ozarowski. He's got a lot of weapons
Headley in the backfield as well.
And Eric Headley. I mean, they've got pretty good balance. But again, going into Notre Dame, where the Irish are always tough. But again, hey, last week the Rams went into Hopewell, where Hopewell was really flying high after 2 wins, and turned in a much better defensive game than I thought they were capable of. But again, that's another two more sacks for Jude Brenya. I think he's got like 6 now in the season. I think he's had about 2 sacks in each game for the Rams. Joey DeCristofaro, and another kid that's playing excellent ball is their defensive end. Tyrone Powell, I believe his name is.
Terrence Powell.
Terrence Powell, yeah. He had a couple sacks last week, too. That was 5 sacks by the Rams defense.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to get anywhere near that number this week against Notre Dame, but we'll see. But I would say that the Irish, by a touchdown, although, it would not surprise me if the Rams could pull that off, which would probably be one of the really best wins that Pete Brescia has had. I think it's the first time in about... my memory serves me correct. I checked some stats. I think it was the first time that Hightstown has been over 500 since about 2008 or 9. I think the first time in 5 years they've been over 500 at any point in the season.
Right, so that'll be an interesting game to keep an eye on. Again, that'll be Friday night on 107.7 The Bronx, 107.7thebronx.com. Taking a look at the Saturday slate. If Tom Hoagland's team is going to break out of their slump, this may be the week to do it against the Little Tigers.